Hi, good evening. This is Susie Sutton, and it's Managerial Accounting 325 for Southwestern College. This is Unit 6, so we are on the last week. And I know the course may have been tough for many of you, but you've all been doing well, and I hope you've enjoyed the information and you'll find it useful for your careers going forward. And then I hope you can also apply the information in your personal life. I know it's called managerial accounting, but I believe many of the concepts can be useful in areas of your personal life too. This week, I'm going to kind of wrap up the course by covering information for the mastery project or your research paper that's due the end of the week. And then I'm going to provide some information that can be useful in some of your future courses, such as your mastery course or the capstone course. And then these links can be useful in your careers going forward for references, reference information, information for when you have questions. I know you don't retain everything you've learned in the last few years. If you have, can you get with me after class, because I need you to teach me your memory skills, your memory techniques. You've covered so much material so quickly in all these courses. I don't see how it's possible you've retained everything. So some of these links have a lot of this information that is useful, good reference material. Then we'll also go over some material that I've pulled from this week's unit that I think you can apply to your careers, the business areas from this unit, and then you can also apply, I think, to business, the business area of your personal life as well. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so trying to find the taskbar, see if it's showing the screen. Okay, I'm going to just show screen 2. And there. Sorry, there we go. So let's welcome to Unit 6, Managerial Accounting. Sorry about that. So the research paper is due this Sunday, and it's going to cover what is your opinion about should investors and those outside the company, should they have access to managerial reports? if the investors had access, what are the pros and cons to releasing this information? So understanding that managerial reports do conform to GAAP financial or GAAP reporting standards, but they are not part of this standard financial statements. Should companies be required, or should they even if they're not required, but should they release managerial reports to investors, and what would be the advantage and disadvantage of releasing this information? So use in your paper, use activity-based costing, compare it to traditional costing and absorption costing, that and how these methods are used in the GAAP reports. If you have personal experience in any way or real world experience exposure, use this experience in the paper as you answer these questions. Try to utilize 5 or 6 resources as you apply your knowledge of costing, of managerial, what you've learned about managerial reports, of management reporting, to answer these questions. And if you don't have real world experience, try to take the information you've learned from the course, the information you are going to gain from your resources, whether it's from journals, professional journals, business magazines, or what have you. Try to create, a hypothetical situation that would apply to this subject matter and answer these questions. Be sure to review the rubrics that is used for the mastery project, and understand the grading rubrics, because it kind of outlines each area and the expectations, such as it will say that 5 or 6 resources are expected to get whether an outstanding or an average score, and how it's written. If you've just if it's written with maybe some errors and you didn't follow, you loosely followed APA guidelines, then you might get an average score. But conforming to all APA guidelines, absolutely no errors, writing errors, it was well written, the concepts were clearly understood, you transitioned from subject to subject from each paragraph, it wasn't choppy, it was smooth transitions, then that might be reaching an outstanding score. So be sure to go through the rubric so you understand which, the expectations for each category and how those will be graded. Now, meeting the requirements, such as providing an experience, providing your resources. When you meet expectations, that is earning an average score. So you do have to go above and beyond expectations if you want to reach the outstanding scores. Now, remember, with Southwestern, we ask you to use APA formatting for your citations and references. And this needs to be used correctly for your maximum points. Southwestern has references to how to use APA formatting. Those links are on the Blackboard in the classroom. There is Purdue OWL. They have an excellent, it's online writing center. It used to be online writing lab is how they got OWL. We have a link to that here, and there's also a link to it on our Blackboard class. And it has how you're supposed to do the APA formatting and examples for almost every scenario. Beware, there are both types of formatting, and I've just forgotten what the other type is, but there's APA and another type of standard formatting. Make sure you are referring to APA, but they have examples of how to do it as well. Whether you're using a magazine journal, a website, you're using a textbook, autobiography, whatever you're using, it can give you an example. It shows you how to how to create your title page, because if you're doing a paper for a college course, a title page is as expected. And so you need to go through the APA formatting so you're writing your paper correctly, you have it formatted correctly, you have your title page, and it's formatted as it should be. Their Southwestern Online Writing Center, they also have free assistance to all Southwestern students. It's an amazing resource. The only thing is you have to set up appointments, and I'm sure this time of the year they get busy because it's your end of a session. So if you'd like their assistance, I would probably go ahead and get a hold of them, see if you can get an appointment for, Friday. I don't know if they work Saturdays and Sundays, but they'll review your paper and go over it with you and provide suggestions. They're not going to correct it for you, but they'll provide areas that can use work. There are also other websites out there that can provide you help with APA formatting. Besides Purdue OWL, there's another resource that has samples. It's the Washington EDU departments. They have this link. It's a PDF. I'll send out this PowerPoint so you have these links. And there's a YouTube video that you can watch as well. So remember your APA formatting. There's specific rules, as I said. You have your title page, your title page. Then you have an abstract, which is kind of an introductory paragraph. Then you have your body. And then on a separate page, on your last page, are your references. And so also with APA formatting, there's specific recommendation for fonts and spacing. And then how to use your citation and references. And here on the second half of the page, I did kind of show you an example of a title page. You have the running header towards the top of the page, and then you have the title of your paper, who wrote it. Now, this part is optional, but it's usually recommended that what course you've written it for, who is your instructor. Now, if you have written a paper for a college, then it is required to put what college, and then also is optional but recommended the date you are turning it in. So you have a title page that's required. So this is more information on how you do your formatting. The next subject I want to bring up is very important to me. And I hope you feel like it's important to you as well because it gives you a voice. The course evaluations. This is your opportunity to grade me and the course. I didn't design this course, but I gave the course. I presented the material to you. So I need your opinion of how well I did. It's the only way I know how I'm doing, what I need to improve on, what I did well, what, as students, what you like to see from your instructors, what you don't like to see from your instructors. This is the only way I can improve. You know, I don't have my boss sitting in my classroom or sitting online watching everything I do. There's not enough bosses to go around for all the instructors and all the courses. So we need the opinions of you, the students. And if you guys, you know, if students get mad and just leave the school, that doesn't tell us anything either. We don't know why. We don't know why. If it was personal reasons, we don't know if they got mad, they think the teachers are bad or why. So we need the students, you, to please complete these course evaluations. And another thing that's very important to understand is we need you to take this 5-10 minutes to do this because we can't have you thinking, oh, everybody else will do it. My opinion doesn't matter. If we don't have more than 50% of the students complete the evaluation, we don't get the evaluation. So if not more than 50% of you complete it, I don't get anyone's opinion. So it does matter. Your opinion does matter. I can't have you say, oh, everybody else will do it. I'm not going to do it. Because if you don't do it and the next person has that same opinion, then it's a very good chance I'm not going to get it because I have to have at least 50% of the students participate or the results don't get presented to us. Now, please understand, the results are given to us completely anonymous. No names are on them. There's no identification on them at all. And we do not get them until after grades are turned in, finalized, everything. We have to have grades turned in on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, you have to complete this by February 17th. Grades will be turned in, says 18, 19, 20. So grades will be turned in, I think Wednesday will be the 20th. And we probably won't then get the results until Saturday the 23rd or Sunday the 24th. It'll probably be Saturday. So grades will be long gone. So even if you provided a comment and we figured out who gave a result, we can't retaliate. And we wouldn't anyways, but the grades or scores are accumulated as it is. So, you know, we would have 2 of this, 3 of this, 4 of this, 1 of this. So we wouldn't know who gave what score anyways. And then you provide comments. And it would only, so we have no idea who completes the survey how. And we don't get the results until grades and scores are completely turned in. So completely anonymous. There's no recourse. We have no retaliation. And we're all professionals. And we want these evaluations, even if they aren't the most positive, because that's the only way we can learn to do better. If I'm not doing well, I want to know because I was a student once. I was a student a lot. I've got 2 bachelor's and a master's. I know what it was like to have an awful teacher. So I want to do the best job for you guys. You're paying a lot of money. You're taking a lot of time to do this, and you're taking important time away from your family and and yourself for relaxation, fun, whatever. So it needs to be time well spent, and you deserve it. So I want to do the best job for you. So please, I beg you, please take the 5 or 10 minutes and do your evaluations. Not just for my course, but for every course you take. Every instructor deserves to know how they're doing. Okay, I'm done. Now, this I like to provide almost every course I've taught. I think it provides great information. Websites I recommend. CPAacademy.org. This is full of live and archive webinars, and many are free, and you can earn CPEs, continuing professional educational credits, that depending on what you're doing for a career, if you're going to earn your CPA or CMA, so you can take these webinars and get 3 hours. Some of them you have to pay for, so depending on who you work for, what company, etc., you can get, if they would pay for it, then you could get them paid. But great information, great webinars. Then accountingdegree.com. All kinds of career information. What kind of direction do you want to go in accounting? Then there's CPA prep information, and there's blog posts. I haven't gone too much into the blog posts, but there are different blog posts, questions and answers and that type of thing. But there's a lot of information, like I said, about different career options and discussion about where to go, what direction you want to head, and also the CPA prep. Then this one's always everybody's favorite. I've made an error here, but it's just MBAbullshit.com. It is just a wealth of information, wide range of finance information. There's tutorials and a load of ebooks. You just have to check it out. It's everything, just finance, accounting, business related. This huge wealth of information. And as I said, all of these could be excellent resources for finding articles and information for future courses. And then as well as you move on through your career, studying for tests, professional tests, exams, it's further information. TeachExcel.com, that's one of my favorite ones. You can sign up and you can get weekly, just a weekly email with, it's usually 5 to 10, has 5 to 10 little articles about Excel tips or tools, just how to use, the what if tool, how to improve your macros, or all kinds of things. So I think that's a great site to use for anyone who uses Excel on a regular basis. FASB.org, that's the Financial Accounting Standards Board website, who is responsible for GAAP, the generally accepted accounting principles. So of course, that's going to have a wealth of information related to GAAP and FASB standards. Proformative, I have not been on this for a little while, but it's titled The Resources and Community for Finance Professionals. It used to have an area of their website that for $99 a year you could do unlimited training, and their unlimited training was from everything from Excel training to leadership training, communication. They'd have like finance statements for the non-finance professionals, economy or economics, just a huge, they had I think it was like a 50-page ebook of the courses they offered, their online courses or webinar courses type thing. And for $99 a year, you could take an unlimited number. They also have different blogs, different areas of resources, one area with links to different journal articles. So that is a great wealth of information. And then accounting.com also has like a job board, career information, like helpful what direction to go if you have if you have an associate degree in accounting, if you have an accounting bachelor's, if you go on and get your CPA or your CMA or your forensics degree or certificate, or if you go on and get your master's, what type of careers you can go into with what education, what experience. And then also information per state. What is the outlook for employment? What type of income can you expect in the different states? And then other resources related to accounting and accounting jobs. So these are some of the best websites I've found in this area of accounting, and I recommend you take some time and just go check them out. Now, as we move into the material for this week, I think this is some of the kind of key information. We just the materials covering liquidity ratios, financial ratios, evaluating financial statements. So what I did is I pulled up like financial information from 5 different companies, technology or software related companies. And I wanted to show the reason why ratios are so important. Because if we pull up this company or these companies and just start to look at their finance statements from perhaps the investor point of view. If we just look and, okay, let's see. Yahoo had 4.6 billion revenue. Google had 66 billion. Facebook had 12 billion. HubSpot had 15.8 million. And my head's covering Azia, but Azia only had 8.3 million. Excuse me. Well, on the surface, it seems like a no-brainer. Well, Google made the most money, so we should invest in them. Well, but then if we go down and look, gross profits, Yahoo made 3 billion. Google, it wasn't available. Facebook made 10 billion. And then HubSpot made 78 million and Azia made 5 million. Oh, well, I thought Google and then maybe Facebook would be the other one I'd want to invest in because Google had 66 billion and Facebook was the next one at 12 billion. Well, Google won't provide there, so they're hiding something. And then Facebook's at 10. But then if I look, the quarterly revenue growth, here Yahoo looks good at 3 billion in gross profit when revenue was at just 4, but yet quarterly growth, it was a negative 1%. And Facebook was 48%. And then HubSpot's even higher, 52. So maybe HubSpot's better. Well, I don't know. But then we come down to EBITDA, which it's also related to our earnings, and which it's earning before taxes and other expenses. Well, Yahoo is 682 million. Google's still at 21 billion, and Facebook's still at 61 million. So those still look pretty good. Oh, but HubSpot and Azia are down at 46 million. So yeah, that might have shot them out of the water. But how can we evaluate which is better when the numbers are so far away? You know, we're talking 66 billion to 4 billion and 115 million. Well, one person would just say, well, there's no comparison. You go with Google because it's 66 billion. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best, just like Facebook is 12 billion. So someone might say, okay, well, if I can't afford Google stock, then I'll go with Facebook. Well, no, because if I go down and look, Yahoo has the best profit margin. Yahoo's profit margin is 162%. Google and Facebook's only in the 20s. So if we're going to look at profit margin, then we'd want to go with Yahoo. We definitely don't want to go to HubSpot because they've got a negative profit margin. But then if we look at Azia, they're up at 38%, which is higher than Facebook and Google. But then if we go look at a return on assets, Google's highest. Now, Facebook's higher on return on assets, but with return on assets, it kind of has a sweet spot in the middle. You don't want to go too high, but you don't want to go too low. So between 5 and 8 or 9, you don't want to go over 10. Between 5 and 8 or 9, that's good. If you go lower, like the 44, negative 44, that's bad. You don't want to get low because it means your assets are not making you money. And then if you get too high, that means your assets really aren't bringing in that much money. You could be using your money elsewhere. And then here on our return on equity, though, how much our equity is making us, Azia is doing the best because with equity, the higher the percentage, the better. There is not a cap. There's not like a middle sweet spot. It's the higher the better. So if you just looked at it, you see Azia and definitely not HubSpot. Oops. So we want to look at you have to look at the ratios because they're calculations based on your numbers like your revenue, your assets, your liabilities, because you can't compare those from one company to the other because of the size difference of companies. Your ratios will put them on an equal playing field because they, like in this case, they're using the percentages. Then down here you have current ratios. And as you can see, then, well, Yahoo from your profit margin looked like the company you wanted to go with. Your current ratio, which is your measurement of your current assets, to your current liabilities, Yahoo isn't one you want to go with. This is saying you would want to go with Facebook. Well, Google's at least better than Yahoo, so, but as you can see, HubSpot and Azio, which are the two that you pretty much wanted to avoid all along, they're better. They have a better current ratio than Yahoo. So this is showing, first of all, this is why we use the ratios, is because we can't measure just one company's income to another. We can't measure the revenue. We can't measure their profit or their net income, just one company to the next. It's too skewed because there are never going to be two companies, three companies that you can compare that are going to be in the same level of income and revenue and profit. So we use these revenue or these liquidity ratios and profit ratios to put them on an even playing field. Then the other point is you can't just pick one ratio and say, this is the ratio to use. There isn't just one that's a magic ratio. You have to decide, or first of all, you have to understand which ratios are telling you what. Which ratios are for profitability, which are showing you like long-term management effectiveness, which are showing you liquidity. What are you looking for? And then focus on those ratios. And first of all, look at all of them and then focus on the ones that are most important. Are you looking at the company's liquidity, the ability to turn into cash, assets into cash quickly if required? Are you looking at the company's profitability, how profitable they are? Are you looking at what the financials are saying about the company's ability to manage? So focus then on the specific ratios in those different areas. And then those would be the ones that would be most important for your evaluation, and then look at which ones have the best scores for which companies on those ratios. So I hope this was helpful in understanding why we use the ratios and understanding why they're important versus just comparing one financial statement to another. They're not necessarily as important if you just are looking at one financial statement. If you're looking at your own company's financial statement, you usually look at the ratios from like a prior period to this period. So that's when they would be useful for your own company. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you find the links on the other pages helpful. Honestly, I use them, I'm not going to say every week, but I've used them quite often for information. I've used them for my continuing professional education credits myself. And also just when I've needed information. I had a project on sales tax certificates. I had to make sure we had the correct ones for different companies in other states that I wasn't familiar with. So I went through some of the webinars on the CPAacademy.org and took a couple hours here in, over a couple weeks, and I learned a lot more about that. And but I knew I was doing the right thing for the job, so it just good information to help out wherever you need it. So again, I enjoyed the class. I hope you have too. I hope you were able to take information and be able to utilize it both personally and in the future in your future careers. Have a good night. Thank you.